Welcome to Cosmic Conversations. This is episode 28. Yes, it is. This is episode 28. You are tapping in to the root of the symmetry. I'm your boy Tahuti, here to help us correlate, communicate, and connect all of our infinite individuality so that we can get our spirituality really popping off in here in the physical and spiritual dimensions and just everywhere in between. All right, we swimming through these astral waters, everything. It's just about the awareness in which we're actually creating life. I mean, a lot of people, for some reason, are using their awareness to destroy life and then complain about it and just drag everyone down with them. It's quite a shame, very low vibration. So, really important that we communicate with each other from all of our infinite individual spaces, because we are not the same. We are not all made by one entity that is controlling us. We all have our own minds and our own feelings about any given idea or any given situation. So, important that we relate and communicate that in some way so we can actually build structures that support our spirituality. That's what we're supposed to do as humans, right? Communicate to build structures that support our imaginations. And it's important, the feelings that we're in, because that's going to dictate life, because life is feeling. So today's question, Cosmic Conversations 28 in here. It's lit. I'm kind of excited about this because I'm not sure if this answer could go on for an hour, honestly. I'm going to keep it under 20 minutes because it's sort of abstract. Anytime you ask a question starting with where is the line, it's about to be very abstract because there's no such thing, right? We know logic is an illusion. So you're just about to learn about me based on where I would project the line between these two things. Where is the line between selfishness and selflessness? Where is the line? So what is the difference? How can we split apart what is selfish and what is selfless? So immediately we can just talk about what it looks like as humans, right? Like when you think about someone that's selfish, basically selfish looks like someone who desires to consume, basically. And selfless would be someone who desires to create. And then the vibration from there, to double down, selfish is someone who consumes and expects to be able to consume. So then that's where you get like someone who's super selfish. Is someone who not only consumes, but someone who has built expectations around how they deserve consumption. They, for whatever reason, feelings. But that's where they would then be projecting their soul into like those kinds of ideas of like expectations based on some kind of structure that they've built up in their mind based on a structure in life. So that's where to be selfish would be consuming with the expectation of being able to consume more, and doubling down on selfless would be creating with no expectation of getting things in return. So that's our idea of like a truly selfless creator. That's why people worship the concept of God so much, because it is the spirit. The spirit is the infinite container of all possibilities of creation that has no expectation for really how things go. It's all up to us collectively to agree on things. And that's just how the universe then continues. It's all going to be based on communication, really. So if someone is selfless, they are like creating worlds. Like the idea of like, to bring it down into like physical reality, a celebrity would look selfless if they were throwing parties and they were just parties for anyone to go party at. Like that appears selfless. Something else that appears selfless is the same thing as charity. Basically, anytime you give something and you don't appear to get something out of it, that is the ultimate idea of selflessness. And then the ultimate idea of selfishness is to consume everything and expect more. Like that's when like we see a villain or just like comically bad people, comically evil people in movies and stories who like eat things and they're like more. Like that's Dudley in Harry Potter. Just that stigma of being so selfish that you consume. It's very white, right? It's Harry Potter. It's consumptive. It's very capitalistic to constantly use fire to turn earth into metal and then throw away that metal when you're done with it and expect shinier metal every year, aka phones, technology, and then in that case, plastic. Anytime you buy anything in packaging, that's a very valuable resource, but it gets considered trash based on your imagination and really the imagination of the world around you. So this is if there's going to be a line between selfishness and selflessness, it's going to come down to your imagination and feelings and how your imagination and feelings relate to the community. And then it's going to come down to like why. Because why is sort of like the biggest question in the universe. You know, like that's like a big thing that like gets people existential. It's like, why am I here? And if they don't have like a light answer to cling on to, then they get emotionally chaotic. And just that feeling is the reason why they're here. They can create a light from that feeling and latch onto that and at least have a boat or something. But that's where so many spirits, because they don't believe in themselves, they rather be chaotic in the feeling and then latch onto a light that the world made for them. And that light isn't going to help them. That light is going to lead them somewhere dark and bad. And that light supports genocide a lot of the time. Whatever. So, to be selfish is really, it comes down to empathy, right? When we're talking about how your imagination and feelings correlate to the community, it comes down to can you project how others are going to feel based on the way that you interact? And that's where you'll find like how selfish versus selfless you are, because no human is really willing to interact without getting anything back. That's kind of stupid. Like I've lived a good amount of my life just giving a wisdom and stuff away for free to people who didn't really seek it out, care about it, or ask for it in any way, even though they needed it and they're expressing their problems to me. It's like, well, quote unquote, casting pearls among swine. And then the swine choke on the pearls and then they die and then, or come close to death and now they're mad at you. And it was your fault because you should have let the swine just keep eating slop or whatever. Or giving them something softer to chew. Not so much hard crystalline logic that's so valuable. Because your perception of value isn't a pig's perception of value. So we already know everything's spiritual individuality. Everything's going to be based on the individual perspective of whatever consciousness you're interacting with. And you're only going to learn about who you are in reflection of that. So that thing is not you. It's just a matter of like you are both reflecting each other in terms of like you both chose to be in that moment together for some reason. And so like that's a whole vibe you're writing. But you are not the vibes that you're writing. You're not the world that you're in. You're not your body. The point of writing any vibe is to create a relationship that you can then generate a bigger, higher vibrational vibe into, that it goes from turning into a boat into a plane, right? Now you're not sailing on the ocean, you're flying. And now you can leave, you have freedom, you're a bird. You're not constrained to density like a fish. You're flying now, you're out the water, you have the freedom. So to be selfish is to, do things with basically no empathy. Like when it comes down to being spiritually selfish, because everyone loves a purpose. This is also what we see with religion or just in general jobs, where spirits are very much okay with not creating their own purpose and fulfilling a space based on how that space resonates with their feeling. Because they may not have the imagination to create their own job or opportunity. So if they see a job or opportunity that resonates with their feeling and they can step up into that, they're happy to do that. So it's not selfish for you to have people working for you per se, or like to have people like giving you things, and then for you to possibly like want things from other people if you're like building a business or whatever. It would then only be selfish as to the why are you starting this business, because again, like it's really that why that's like everything. um when we're trying to draw a line, like it's funny how a why is just basically a line. um I mean, one line with a little hatchet line there. Uh, but it is like, why? Like, why are you doing this? So if your business is something that's like, oh yeah, I want to enslave people so that we can create cigarettes, so that we can then get people addicted on cigarettes and make them want them more, and then create a healthcare system that claims to treat the medical problems that come from the cigarettes that we have slaves producing. That's so many layers of selfish. And that's America. um that's the frequency of America. So that's like so wildly selfish to like imagine everything else in between that like has to happen. And then selfless would be like being a spirit where you just create worlds and create opportunities for spirits to express themselves, and spirits in that world are like, fuck God, I hate them, I hate God so much. And like you're hearing that and you're like, they're learning about themselves in my creation. And you're just like not expecting anything back. And like you're just giving gifts to the universe that like you're giving gifts in such a selfless way they can't perceive it. This is where this is the problem with selflessness. People can't appreciate you if you're selfless. If you're like, for example, constantly available or you're always giving your energy up, people naturally become selfish. This is polarity. So we're just lack for better words. This is like ego versus spirit, desire versus desirelessness. People live in desire. If you're alive, you desire things. So if someone from a desireless place is showing you something that you desire, it can be easy to you as a spirit, if you're living in that desire and this person is fulfilling whatever desires that's related to your desire to live. Relatable example would be validation. So you're alive, you have an ego. Sometimes you don't feel that good about having an ego or a body. If a spirit from a desireless place is like, yo, you look good today, like you're fantastic, you're awesome, and they hype your ego up and they keep living life, um, that's valuable, that's important. That is like the highest level of complementary creation. What's going to happen if that energy continues is you will start to almost expect that from that spirit. And then it doesn't even become important anymore. Awesome, right? We see that in shows all the time, where that's what happens when you get taken for granted. When you give so much that the person just expects it, and now your compliments don't mean anything. So now, after a month of complimenting this person, you're like, yo, you look good today. And in their head, they're like, he always says that. Boom. You should have been more selfish with the energy you were given so that that spirit could actually appreciate it. So that's like the whole thing with if there's going to be a line, it's going to be empathy. I'm saying it's going to be you thinking about the spirits that you're interacting with, because then it's very easy to come up with the logic that that spirit who from a seemingly desireless place is constantly giving you compliments. Easy to come up with the logic that they desire something from you and to separate from them. So that other spirit, if they knew that that spirit would naturally get led down that path of, if you give someone too much energy, they're like gonna kind of get creeped out, weirded out, and either cut you off or just expect you to do that and like be grateful, but like they only love you because you're fulfilling a desire. And the moment you stop fulfilling that desire, they don't want to relate with you anymore. And that's like hella romance stories or whatever, where like guys thought that they should start a relationship by fulfilling a girl's desire to like buy them pretty things or whatever. Or like a girl thought she could fulfill a guy's desire by like being super pretty and hot and doing whatever he wants or something. But then it's just literally not sustainable, and it leads to a catastrophic moment. This is what we're talking about here in terms of why are you interacting with people. why are you communicating with the universe? Because so many people in relationships, people who appear selfless, everyone wants to appear selfless. It's like the ultimate mode of the spirit. It's ultimate grandfather mode, truly. Like to be able to give with no expectation of getting back is the best feeling ever. It's a feeling that I feel like every spirit should strive for. Um, it's just then like we know that structures are built on sort of expectations, on projecting like, okay, I love giving with no expectation, but you can't build a world like that. Like if you're just giving your energy to spirits without any expectation, they're just going to go create their own worlds with that energy or be chaotic. It's not actually structuring. It's not, you're not making a simulation. You're not making a physical reality for people to play and experience in. So this is why it's important to be selfish in terms of like, okay, I'll give you this energy, I'll give you this, vibration, this essence, whatever, under these conditions, so that then you can make sure that your energy that you're giving is actually going to be used properly. Because that's the point. You don't want to like be extended and like have blood on your hands, basically, because you ended up being so selfless that you were like supporting the wrong people. Because if you're selfless, you'll find yourself just giving like all this valuable stuff away to people who really don't deserve it. And really like, even if they appreciate it, they only appreciate it from like a way that is low vibrational and like harmful to the universe. So it's important for you to like get in tune with yourself in terms of learning like what do you want in your life, so that you can be selfish in a spiritual way that allows you to give the most of yourself to the universe. Because you need to be selfish before you are selfless. If you're just selfless, you're only going to get taken advantage by spirits who were selfish first and then selfless. Or they're just selfish and then selfish. Like selfish internally and then selfish externally. We're talking about you need to be selfish internally, aka subsist on your own feelings, not giving anything out. So that when you go external, you can give everything out, because everything internally is coming from the space of your infinite nothingness. It's just really important that you are in tune with that and not light, thinking your spirit is light or something you can actually touch. The moment you create something, that's an externalization of whatever you are. And the whole thing with spirits is making awesome creations that express their nothingness. And then they can relate on that and level up. So yeah, before we end, the line between selfishness and selflessness is empathy. Why are you communicating your thoughts and feelings? And why do you want other people to work with you to do that? If you are a slave master, then you're super selfish, versus someone who is creating a simulation, creating worlds just for spirits to play with their own wisdom, and they don't expect anything in return. That's the ultimate form of selflessness. And the spectrum is, again, empathy. And why? So I like, two things, like thinking about other people, thinking about like why, to integrate it. Why are you communicating these things? And being able to, since you're communicating, knowing that it's a two-way street of seeing how other people feel about the way you're communicating these things. And you will start to appear more selfish the more you consume from the world and expect to be able to consume from the world. And then you'll appear more selfless when you give to the world with no expectation of people giving back. That's it. That's it? Yes. So be internally selfish, love yourself, selfish, be a selfish, swim inside of your own cell, a selfish, swim inside of yourself, generate your own chakras, all these cell fishes, all these tanks for your fish, your